Have you guys noticed anything different? I mean, other than my surroundings where I'm filming this. Yeah, we're completely rebranding the channel, the website, everything. We're switching over to CommIncenseCulture.com, and CommIncense Culture, the new logo, everything. You know, when I first started this channel, I knew I was going to start with cooking videos, and I also knew I was going to expand out as I went along. I wanted it to be much more of a practical Orthodox channel, because you know where my heart is and what I really enjoy the most is talking about theology and all that. And you know, I went to seminary to become a Baptist pastor at one point, or a non-denominational pastor. Kind of was in the middle there. It didn't seem very different to me. Funny enough, I didn't realize how important those differences are until I was no longer Baptist. But anyway, I digress. So I used to feel, you know, very free to be able to talk about theology, and that all changed when I became Orthodox, and I realized how much of a spiritual baby I am, how much I have to learn, and how dangerous it can be to confidently kind of put yourself in a position of authority. And even when I talk about things about the Orthodox Church and things about, you know, Orthodox beliefs and everything, I hope there's always an obvious hesitation or just a little bit of a, you know, holding back, and you know, to a great extent just putting out there that, hey, maybe I want to spark your interest a little bit, maybe I want to kind of start a discussion, but I don't want to put myself in a position of authority. What I'd much prefer is, hey, maybe you find something interesting in my fasting video, or you know, something about that, but then you're going to go to a much more authoritative source, like reach out to the closest Orthodox bishop to you, or the closest Orthodox priest, more likely. Maybe my videos can just be a source of sparking that interest or sparking the discussion, as I would love to have a lot more discussions on here about these things. So I decided, you know, the channel is not going to be primarily about theology, but the most important thing to me, the thing that I like to talk about the most, the thing that is most substantial and drives my life, and you know, the choices that I make, hopefully, and the things that I believe, and the way that I grow, and all of that is Orthodoxy. So I wanted to focus on that, but maybe more of the practical things. And cooking is a big one, because we live in a culture that doesn't have as much experience as our forebears did in cooking, and even changing up our cooking based on just even normal seasons, much less the seasons of the church year. So I still want to stick around that, but probably there's going to be a lot less recipe videos. I'm thinking maybe a lot more of those are going to be me filming my wife, you know, showing things that, you know, she's learning and that she's getting better at and all of that. So I always knew I was going to expand outside of cooking, but the thought process was, you know, common sense cooking, that's still, it's a fun play on words. You know, maybe I'm literally cooking, maybe I'm cooking up some common sense, and you know, that was fine. Well, now we're getting to the point where I am doing a lot more non-cooking videos, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's a little bit too confusing. You guys are smart. I don't doubt that you catch on and everything, but I already have a play on words in the name, Common Sense. I've talked about in my culture video that, you know, common sense is useless without common belief. You can't have a common sense or a common understanding about things unless you have a common belief. How do you really, day-to-day life, make the choices between when virtues seem to be colliding? How do you make those decisions and all of that? Well, you can't really have a common sense about the right things to do on a daily basis without a common belief. So, you know, incense, as in the smoke, the burning, smelly good stuff that, you know, you smell in a church, that you hear about through scripture all the way back, you know, to the Old Testament. It's always been an integral part of Orthodoxy. So playing off of that is, you know, common sense. You know, it's kind of what is the Orthodox culture's common sense. And anyway, that's already a play on words. So then putting in another play on words seemed a bit much. So I've decided to switch over to Common Sense Culture. Hope you guys don't mind. Hope you don't mind the new logo. I kind of threw it together. You know, maybe that'll change down the line. Maybe some of you guys have a good idea on the logo, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But you can definitely look forward to seeing a lot more videos outside of the cooking spectrum, outside of just recipes and such. Hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna keep up this study through You Can Farm book. If you have any other ideas on books I could read, I'm gonna keep you updated on the gardening. If we ever get chickens or rabbits or anything like that, definitely keep you up to date on that. So there's just gonna be a lot of varied content, hopefully a lot more content. I'm hoping just to get the momentum up and keep on doing this, keep this going a little bit faster. So hopefully I'm going to be getting this out on Palm Sunday, Orthodox Palm Sunday tomorrow, in which case I hope you all have a very blessed, solemn, and life-changing fast of Holy Week, using whatever resources you have during this time when we're not able to go to services. I think it's very encouraging for me, or maybe I should primarily say humbling and enlightening, now that I don't have the services so much to lean on to help me forward, which is wonderful, and that's what they're there for. But now that I don't have that as much, I'm realizing how weak I am as a husband and as a father and as a man in leading the spiritual life of my household, really keeping us in prayer, keeping us focused on the right things, realizing how weak I am in that and how much I need to be working on that, because this has revealed how much I've just relied on, all right, we're going to vigil and divine liturgy and at least one other during the week, and we'll kind of keep up on our morning and evening prayers and we're good. Well, a lot of that has been stripped away, so now it's just, all right, now you really have to be good at, you really have to focus on making sure that you're constantly being brought back to the altar, brought back to the icons and the state of prayer, because now it's a little bit more my responsibility to keep bringing us back, because it doesn't matter whether you're in quarantine or not. St. Basil and many others have made the comment that don't think that you're going to escape anything by going out into the desert, going out into solitude, because you're the problem. It's your heart that's the problem, and it's going to follow you wherever you go. So it doesn't matter that we're in quarantine, we're still going to be tempted to be pulled away and drawn out of the prayerful life. And I mean, what is salvation about if not union with God, becoming more and more like God and becoming more in union with His will? And we can't do that without a constant prayerful heart, a constant prayerful mind, at least to start with, and then a constant prayerful heart. As we're practicing, as we're getting to that point, as we're trying to draw closer to that reality of that prayer without ceasing, that union with God, I mean, we need those times of prayer. We need a rule of prayer, a rule of life for the household, to keep on pulling yourself back to that state until that becomes the constant state of your heart. So I'm trying to learn a little bit more how to lead in that. This Holy Week I will try to make even more efforts to make that happen in this time when normally we have a lot of services and we have a lot of help. But this is much more like what a lot of people have experienced in some other countries and some other areas of our country, and certainly in other times. We have access to everything, including church. I mean, even in the West, even in America, where there may be not as many Orthodox churches as in the rest of the world, we still have probably more access to churches in a lot of ways than a lot of people have in the past, at least during certain times. And so we can think about that. We can maybe connect to the stories of some of the saints, connect to the stories of Christians in certain times that weren't able to go to services as often as we get to. Hopefully this time there can be a lot of benefits, a lot of ways this helps to focus us and be reminded of our responsibility as individuals to pray. I mean, I will be rejoicing from the rooftops, at least metaphorically, probably should be literally. I'll be rejoicing when I get to go and take the body and blood of Christ, to partake of Holy Communion again. I feel it. I feel how hard it is, being without it. But there are a lot of other things that we can be doing. There are a lot of other ways that we can be opening ourselves in humility to the grace of God. And this situation just kind of highlights some of those areas that we might be weak in, and that I certainly am weak in. Thanks for watching, especially during this time of transition. with the channel and the website and everything. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your thoughts, some of the things that sparks up. If you have any questions, especially about practical aspects of Orthodoxy that you want me to cover, if you have any questions or things that you want me to address as well as I can to at least help the conversation get going, please let me know, and that'll help me a lot in the direction and in some of the content that I can put out. I want it to be as helpful as possible. I can have a million ideas, but if none of them are going to hit at anything that is going to be helpful, then what's the point? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for your encouragement, for watching these videos, for following this channel. Please like, subscribe, share this, and have a blessed Holy Week.